I'm Jim Colleton and live from Omaha, Nebraska, and the offices in India. This is Gallup's Call to Coach, recorded on April 28th, 2015. Call to Coach is a resource for those who want to help others discover and use their strengths. We have Gallup experts and independent strengths coaches share tactics, insights, and strategies to help coaches maximize the talent of individuals, teams, and organizations around the world. If you have questions during the webcast, we do have a live chat room that's available. It's right below the main video window. You can just log in, use any social account there, LinkedIn. You can build one with Chatwing. You can come in on Yahoo or Facebook or Google+. Any of those accounts will get you in. It's nice when you use those because it brings your picture in and we know who you are. If you are watching the recorded version of this or you have questions about custom strengths coaching solutions for small, medium, or large organizations, you can send us an email, contact Gallup. It's just coaching@gallup.com, or you can use the contact form that's right there on the page at coaching.gallup.com. Don't forget to visit the Gallup Strengths Center. That's just Gallup Strengths Center, all one word, GallupStrengthsCenter.com for all your coaching resources and training needs. And you can also catch this video and both streaming now and downloadable audio if you want to catch it offline for listening. Maybe download it to your phone. Take it with you on the road, in a car, in a train, or on a plane. A great way to recapture some of these. We have over 100 of these programs now. You can catch them all and get access to all the players we have available. Get that at coaching.gallup.com. Pooja Luthra is our host today. She works as an advanced consultant in Gallup in Delhi. And Pooja, it's great to see you again. Welcome back to another Call to Coach, and it's always good to see you here on these Monday nights, Tuesday mornings for you guys.
Hi, Jim. Good morning. It's so nice to see you too. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Gallup India edition of Call to Coach. Our guest for today is John K. John, who is the Vice President and Head of the Management Academy at Reliance Industries. It's such a delight to have you here, John. Such a delight to see you after such a long time.
Same here, Pooja.
Just a quick background about John. I mean, there's so many credentials to this, I don't even know where to begin really. But just to name a few, with a I think honors degree in personnel management, has numerous credentials to his name, including being a T3 Zig Ziglar trainer. He's a certified trainer in that. He's also a level 1 certified Berkman consultant, and now, of course, a Gallup-Certified coach as well. Through his career, I believe he's done a lot of work around training people around the area of human behavior, etc. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm very curious to understand how your journey has been since the time we were together in the accelerated program, John, and how you've been able to sort of use what we learned during those 4.5 days into the work that you're already doing, and how you're able to sort of integrate some of those things. It always gets me curious. It's nice to know how some of these things have been integrated. So now over to you. Let's start a little bit by knowing a little bit about your strengths, your talents, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Should I go on?
Sure.
All right. So I finished that 4.5-day session with you, and the next thing obviously was to get ready to get certified. And as part of the process, you had to coach 5 or 6 of them. So the immediate response for me was to go back to office and do it for my direct reports, and said, I've discovered something fantastic. You guys need to actually go through it as well. So I encouraged them each to buy a book. And in a matter of, I think, 1 week, I started sitting with them one-on-one and coaching them and taking through them and their strengths for them to understand how God has made them very, very unique. So I really brought the whole concept of uniqueness to another level and another degree for them to understand how beautifully crafted they are. So that is what we did in terms of the first few weeks. And then what I did was I sort of changed my signature on my email. And I said, see, here is somebody who's just finished a program, and you could reach out to me if you want some coaching around strengths. And that got a lot of people excited. They wanted to know, what is the strengths that you're talking about? What is Gallup? What's this organization all about? And a lot of them reached out to me just because the emails were floating to them, and the email signature had this one-liner. And so a lot of them came back to me saying, I would love to do this. I'd like to know a little bit more of my strengths. And I got them to buy the book. And so in a matter of, say, 1 month from the time that I finished my certification, I think I coached around 11 or 12 of them. So I sat with them on a 1 hour to 45 minutes to an hour and a half, took them through the basic structure of the Gallup program in terms of coaching, and I helped them understand their uniqueness and their top 5 dominant themes. So that was fantastic to start with. But I knew I didn't want to just finish with that. I wanted to move on. And I started sowing the seed of Gallup in the organization for people in the organization to start asking, can you do more than just coaching? Can you do a session? Can you do an intervention? Can you do a training? And sooner or later that came by. So that was my journey from the time I finished this program somewhere in October of last year.
Yeah. So let's backtrack a little. So tell us a little more about that email signature. Tell us about your top 5.
All right, so my top 5, the way I remember it is PIC, P-I-C-E-F. So my first strength or dominant theme is positivity. And my second is ideation. My third is connectedness. And then I remember E.F. Hutton. I think Jim will connect to E.F. Hutton a little bit. E stands for empathy and F for futuristic. So that's the way I remember, P-I-C-E-F. So that's my top 5. And it's just amazing how the report was so accurate in terms of who I am and what my strengths and themes are.
So tell me how they resonated with you, because I know you were, I remember you from the session. I even remember we had you speak to another cohort when you had come,
Yes.
and I think most people who interacted with you even then had an aha moment in themselves, because you're so aware of your own talent themes, and I remember some of the examples that you gave of how you actually, how they were playing out for you in both your personal, I remember personal examples as well as your professional life as well. So tell us a little bit more about how did they resonate with you? I mean, you said they were spot on, but how did they resonate with you when you heard about them the first time?
So straight away, positivity is something that overflows out of my character. Some people find
I can vouch
funny.
for that.
Extremely funny. I mean, they say, how can this guy keep smiling all the time? What's wrong with him? Has he had some concoction this morning? How is he smiling in all circumstances, in all situations? Positivity just comes naturally to me. And I keep smiling quite a bit. I say hi to almost everybody that I pass by. Even if I don't know, I might just nod, I might just smile. I just want to make their life better just by that simple gesture. So positivity is something that I could relate straight away to. All right, I'm very positive in my outlook. And therefore that I could resonate very well with positivity straight away. The second was ideation, and I couldn't agree more, because I'm an ideas man. I'm a guy who can think, and I'll come with creative ideas. I get bored with routine. I mean, you can kill me with the routine. You tell me, John, this is your space, work around it, that's all. I would be dead the next minute. If I can't ideate, if I can't think something else, what I'm doing from what I'm doing right now. I'll just give you a simple example. I'm currently learning how to swim. I was putting on so much of weight, and I said, I've got to do something about my body size and mass around my body. So I said, okay, let me go in for swimming. So I started to swim, and the first stroke that the coach gave me was breaststroke. So I started learning the breaststroke. And can you believe it? In a matter of 2-3 weeks, I started getting bored with that particular stroke. I said, boss, teach me some more. I need to move on to the next one. I can't keep doing breaststroke forever. I've learned some bit of breaststroke. Now get me on a next stroke. He said, no, your kick is bad, your push is bad, you're not learning anything new. So slowly I was getting fed up with the breaststroke, and I said, boss, you don't understand. I got to create new things. I need to go with new ideas. Give me something new. So thankfully I listened to the coach, and I started improving my breaststroke, and now I've moved from breaststroke to freestyle, where I'm learning how to kick freestyle now. And that's the way my life is. If I keep doing something for life, I get bored. I have to do something new. So whether it's a module that I'm creating at the office with respect to training intervention, even if I'm doing it for the nth time, I would like to do something new. I'd like to bring some flavor. Could be a video, could be a joke, could be something that I didn't do the previous time that I'd like to bring. So I'm an ideas man. So I bring those ideas to the table. In connectedness, I really resonate with connectedness, because I believe everything happens for one big good. I'm connected to the world. Everybody is there for a reason. Everybody is there for a purpose. Nobody is unimportant. I don't meet people by chance. There's a reason why I meet. So connectedness plays a big role for me in my scheme of things. And then, of course, empathy. I'm very high on relationship skills. I took Gallup a few years ago as well. And when I took that, I think in 2009, I had almost all the 4 themes in my relationship skills. And then, of course, this time it sort of spread even a little more. But I'm a highly relationships person, so I resonate well with people. I network well with people. I like being with people. So that empathy is seeing what the other person feels through, or what the person is going through. I can quickly spot people if they're down. I know that they're down, and I want to connect with them. So empathy plays a big factor in relationships. And the last being futuristic. So I'm a guy who looks at the future. I'm not the today's man. I'm always looking at what for tomorrow. How should the world look tomorrow? Can we make the world a better place? What's my role in making the world a better place? So futuristic, looking at the possibilities of tomorrow is a big factor for me as well. So those are the way I would probably connect my themes.
Yeah. So, and I remember hearing some of this before, and it was very exciting. It's very exciting for me when somebody is able to connect the talent theme so well with who they are and what they naturally do. So, getting on to, I want to pick on your ideation for a little bit, and just to sort of ask you, what new ideas do you have around the idea of strengths-based development? The reason I ask you, John, is very simple because of, you're a part of a very large conglomerate, the organization, which has its, it's an intricate thing. It's a huge organization, and really interested in knowing what are some of your thoughts and ideas that, given the realities of business as we have them today, how would you think that a strengths-based development journey for an organization can be integrated, and in what aspects? So one would be training or performance management or coaching. Any thoughts around how can be integrated so that the business sees value in it and so do the people?
Yeah, so what I'm doing right now is I'm sort of selling the whole concept to key stakeholders in the organization. I'm connecting to business leaders, and I'm talking to them in terms of, hey, here is something that I found extremely good for myself, and I believe that you can also be a great leader, a great manager if you actually put this to work. And so I'm selling these concepts, and I'm going beyond my boundary. I currently work for Reliance hydrocarbon business, but I'm selling this whole concept not just to the hydrocarbon business. I'm selling it to retail. I'm selling it to geo. I'm selling it to the other verticals and other businesses for them to understand that there is this whole area here. In fact, sometime last year, I also wrote to our chairman, Mr. Ambani, saying that this is a great tool that we should think of building a culture in Reliance. And well, he didn't specifically come back to me on this particular thing saying, yeah, let's go ahead. But in the overall pack that I sent him, I had mentioned that this was a great tool for us to use. And he sort of resonated with the overall plan. And I believe that this is extremely useful to building a culture of positive psychology and strengths in the organization. So what I'm doing right now is I'm speaking to key stakeholders. I'm getting them to think. And you won't believe it, Pooja, right now we are in the midst of HR transformation, and we are doing the 4th wave in HR, which is learning and development. We're actually doing the last wave, where we're actually looking at fresh interventions for learning. What programs can we actually do for different levels of the pipeline? And I've been talking to people in the business, in the team, to bring in strengths at different levels, because I see value in actually bringing strengths at maybe an exec level or a senior level leader or a group leader, where they would understand that if they work from their area of strengths and if they can tap into the strengths of the teams working with them, they are going to be productive, because research basically shows that, and that's absolutely true, right? I'm going to be performing best when I'm in my area of strength, not in my areas of weakness. When I know that, and when I know that I don't have all the strengths in myself, but I need to now depend on somebody in my team who has a strength that I don't have, and if I can tap that, and I can get that person also contribute, he's going to be happy, I'm going to be happy, both of us are going to be productive. So I'm completely sold out on this strengths-based work, and that's I'm basically marketing a lot of and branding a lot of stuff in Reliance right now.
Yeah. I think, and that's the one thing that stands out to me each time I talk to you is, of course, that you're a believer of the philosophy itself. What I want to ask you, John, is, and I've asked others before, but they've mostly been people who have been independent consultants so for them it becomes like a business development thing, that how do you go and pitch something like this? But when you're internally in a system and you're talking to key stakeholders and you're trying to tell them about the merits of strengths, the one thing that I've seen is intuitively everybody understand that's the great way to go, and
Yes.
people like to talk about like that. But then, do you face any challenge in convincing people of a business merit to this whole approach, and how will it add to why should they be doing it in the first place, with the exception of feeling good about it at the end of the day?
Hmm.
So, do you have any challenge around that? Anything
I,
that you would
I
like to say?
haven't I haven't had anybody push back to me from the time that I've started connecting with stakeholders. Nobody's pushed back saying
Okay.
no, 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 no. I want to test it out first before I actually do it. One person just basically came to a pushback, but I don't call it a pushback. But he said, I want to know whether it falls in the overall culture building process of Reliance. That's the only thing that he said.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
strength fit into the whole culture building process? And he wanted to get his HR actually vetted. So I said, no problem. I'll
Yeah.
go and talk to the HR person and I'll tell him what we have to offer. And then you guys discuss and let me know. Because I don't think anybody will push back once they get to see what they're going to get. And the great thing about this is the fact that it's not just theory. They're going to get a report. And the report by itself, the very fact they're going to get the top 5 themes and you're going to read it, they'll say there's something about this. I want to know more. So that
Yeah.
I think is a great asset. It is not just theory here or a book there, but they get to see their reports, and the reports tell them all about themselves if they've done it honestly. So I think I haven't found any difficulty yet in the system. Nobody's pushed back
Yeah.
saying no, no, I don't. I want to know more. They would probably want to know more. So what I give them is I give them a lot of collaterals. I give them a video like the ones we're doing right now for them to go and see,
Yeah.
or something on YouTube that is already available on Gallup. Check it out, and then let me know. But thus far, I have not got any pushback.
Yeah. No, I think the question this gentleman also raises a valid question, that how does it fit in into the cultural thing of Reliance as well? And
Correct.
that's true for any company, because whatever you do, the Strengths Finder itself, the report itself, are all systems or processes largely
Right.
that take shape only when you have an underlying philosophy. And then
Absolutely.
the journey is how do you individualize it going forward. So, that's something that Gallup also believes in. So coming back to, you said you've done a few coachings now since the certification. Now, understanding the strengths and talents, that part of it in more detail, do you see your talent themes playing out in your coaching style?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, the very fact that I have positivity as number one is a great
Mm.
thing, because I set the expectation so high. That could be a problem also with the coaches. If I don't measure up, it's a problem. So,
Mm.
but they walk out of the coaching session with a high. They say, "Wow, I
Mm.
didn't know this. This is fantastic." I did a session yesterday for almost 30, 35 people. As of today, I would have almost covered more than 100 folks in Reliance already in interventions. And in
Okay.
coaching, I've already possibly done 12 to 15 of them. So every time somebody comes to me or I go to them and they finish the coaching, they walk out on a high. They say, "This is fantastic. This is brilliant. I resonate so much with it." Nobody ever walked out of my cabin saying, "Wow, what a terrible report." I mean, none of them walked out of that cabin. Everybody said, "How did they know so much about me?" Uh, and that was the question they had. So they walked out of the place saying, "Wow, this is fantastic. Now, how do I take it to another level?" So I sort of leave them with that high so that they can come back next time and say, "Okay, now that I know, which is my name it, how do I claim it and aim it? How do I move from name it to claim it to aim it?" So I leave a little bit of suspense for them to come back, and then we connect the next time around. So it's been fantastic. It's nice. And what I encourage people is, when you go back, change your signature on your email, get your top 5 on your email as well. Start branding about your top 5 to other people. Let people get to know what your top 5 is. So folks in my team have got their top 5 in their email ID signatures. And others who've done my coaching also, I encourage them. So actually, they've done it, and they resonate very well with it. So it's been great.
Yeah, and all these are, the quick wins when it comes to naming talent themes. So you have it in the signature themes, and you sort of learn a
Yes.
little bit more about them. So for the
Right.
10, 15 people that you just mentioned that you've done coaching for, do you have, if not, physically, but mentally, a roadmap in mind that how would you actually like to take it forward from, oh, good, I now know myself to now this is how I'm going to apply and this is how I'm going to use it
Yes.
in the role that I do. Do you have a roadmap around that?
For me personally.
For you personally, as well as for the folks, at least the ones that you've already coached. So in the
Yeah, so
capacity of the role.
three or four of them work with me directly in my team, so I can oversee in terms of what they do, and it's beautiful to see how they bring the strengths to the table. They must be aware of it now, but I can see it straight away that this is the strength that they actually bring to the table. So I can resonate very well when they actually do it. So that is one thing that I have. In terms of pathing for them, I'm not so sure whether I've gone to that level. I've just left it at the discussion right now, but I've told them how to connect it to a role that you're doing and the key responsible areas that your role is desirable of in terms of an outcome. So basically help them in terms of understanding, okay, if these are your top 5 KPAs, which of your talent teams help you actually do a great job? So that's the last conversation that I've had with them. And then if they have any concerns, they actually call in and check with me and take it forward. So that's where I've left it. I haven't gone beyond that at the moment. Yes.
Okay. So my next question is going to be more of you in capacity of a manager, since you're saying that the 3, 4 people are a part of your own team. So one
Mm.
is your individual conversations with each of them around their talent themes, and then sort of leaving
Yes.
it at that right now.
Right.
Um, so two parts to my question. One, um, post the certification, has this impacted your managerial style? That is one. And the second thing is that in addition to your one-on-one conversations with these team members, do you think that the team members have also started sort of, accepting each other's talents and even sort of understanding how they can leverage upon each other's talents, like you said, that how do you use each
Mhm.
other's strengths or talents to get the job done even if you don't have it.
Right.
So anything around
Absolutely.
that you have noticed or seen?
Yes, it's for me. It's a reinforcement of my style of leadership. I think I had some
Yeah.
flavor. I had some flavor of it earlier, but now it's
Mm.
reinforced it for sure that this is the way one needs to lead. Right. One is
Yeah.
understanding your own strengths and
Yeah.
not wanting your people reporting to you to behave like you. I think many managers have that problem because they are
Mm.
good in certain things. They expect the people
Mm.
reporting to them also to behave like them and to act like them and to have the same strengths. And now that is making a big blunder. I might be
Mm.
great when it comes to presentation skills. I might be good in facilitation. Right? That doesn't mean that
Mm.
everybody who reports to me also measures up to the same degree that I do. And if the minute I make
Mm.
that mistake, I'm actually pushing the envelope the wrong way. I got to understand that that person is very, very differently, uniquely different from me. And I need to now use that person and see that person very differently. So for me, it was a reinforcement of that. I always used to do that, but this was reinforcement. So earlier, I used to get a little upset if one of my team members does not behave like me in terms of an ideation. For example, if I give them a project and if they come back with a very simple idea, I would get upset because saying, "Hey, what's happened to you guys? Why haven't you ideated and give me 4, 5 options? Why are you just thinking of one?" Right? Now I'll probably be a little more careful because ideation may not be their top 5 themes or probably in the top 10 or 11, and I shouldn't be expecting it from them if it's not their strengths or their theme. So I'm getting more and more conscious. I'm getting more and more aware. That's number one. Number two is for me to place the right person in the right role based on their strengths. It's becoming so useful. What's this person good at? What's this person's strength? If this person's strength is A, I don't want to put him in B because I know if I put him in B, he's going to stretch, he's going to find it difficult, and therefore he may not perform to the levels expected. But can I leave him in the strength area? Can I actually put him in an area where he's already strong and sharpen, like Gallup says, sharpen the points of a star, that he would be more excellent in the area that he's already good at and take it to another level?
Mm.
So that's what I'm doing right now. So consciously, I'm looking at, okay, what is this area? While all of us want our team members to be well-rounded, when I do the training programs, I get the same message back from Gallup saying members cannot be well-rounded. It's your team that gets well-rounded. Members become polished in their areas of strength, and that's what we need to drive. So harness their strengths and get them better in what they do, rather than making a mistake saying, no, this person can probably do this plus that, and then take a risk on that. So that's where I am right now. So I'm really experimenting that bit, and it's exciting to see how it's going to pan out.
Absolutely. And you know what you pointed out is exactly you know what great managers, and Gallup has done a lot of research around high performing managers, and the first step of a high performing manager when it comes to it, you know, at least the strengths and the talents piece, is the self awareness part, to understand what my own filters are to be able to be a better manager before I can sort of propagate the idea of strengths based development for the team. And of course, where we don't use the StrengthsFinder for any, you know, career choices, we do also recommend that, you know, when it comes to role fitment, just like the way you suggested, there could be tasks and activities that one can take up or one cannot take up depending on what works for me and what doesn't. So that's definitely, you know, you're on the right path as a manager. But just curious, I think you mentioned a little while ago that you did a session for a few people. So what do you normally do in the sessions? Is it around the strengths-based development philosophy,
Yes.
or how does that work?
Completely based on what I did on the 4.5-day session. I've crunched it to a one-day session. So I bring in a lot of Gallup research that is already available with me, plus the content that you have given us in terms of Gallup strengths. And then I take them through a one-day journey of understanding their strengths. So I use a lot of tools that you've given us as part of the certification program. The Love, Crazy, Envy, I use the Name It, Claim It, Aim It. I use the strength cards. I use the strength domains. I mean, at the end of it, they're saying, wow, this is fantastic. I mean, and one of the things I love is the strength domain bit, right? Where all the 34 are bucketed into 4 domains. And when some of them realize, man, I've got only, all my themes are falling in one bucket and the other 3 are empty. Now, what do I do? So I looked at one guy and said, you know, you're absolutely normal. So he liked that comment, saying that you're absolutely normal, nothing wrong with you. It's just that you leverage that to hit the others. And you know, we had fun. Yesterday was a great session. I had a very senior stakeholder sitting in my entire session, and he at the end of it came and mentioned how good it was. And he was in fact the first person to walk into the training room. This training started at 9:30. He was here at 9:10. And he's just one of the most senior stakeholders in Reliance. And I was shocked. He was the first man to walk in. And the rest of the team came in, you know, prodding a little later. And he sat through the entire program, and he had good words to say at the end of the session. And I sent him the report. I sent him the grid. And I told him, these are your strengths as a team. This is what you may want to leverage more going forward. You know, it's interesting that this team was very strong in the executing theme and very strong in the strategic theme. A strategic thinking team, but they had very little strength in influencing theme. So they're doing a lot of execution, they're doing a lot of thinking, but there's nobody talking it to the world outside in terms of, hey, this is what we're doing. There's nobody branding them, there's nobody marketing what their efforts are. So it is a team that is basically doing a lot of things, and the team knows they're doing a lot of things, but the world outside does not know. So that may have opened their eyes to saying, okay, what can we do more? In terms of making sure the others in the system also get to know what we're doing as a function, as a department. So that, I think, was a big eye-opener for them.
Yeah, it's a great tool, isn't it? The team grid, that when the team sort of sees itself as a person, only to understand. And the beauty of the tool is, and I'm sure you've had experience around it as well, that it doesn't matter whether the team is a newly formed team or the team has been working together for the past decade. Each time you use the tool, they get to know, they get some insight into their personality as a team, and then there are certain actionables that come right out of it, don't they? Actually, you know, I'm sure that the sessions have been great, because what you've pretty much got in the accelerated program is the best of our research of the past 50 years. And, you know, like I think we mentioned it even in the program that sometimes we're envious of you guys, because when we started out, we didn't have those tools at our disposal. And, you know, those are great tools to have. They're great tools to have.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Yeah, and things like even Love, Crazy, Envy, you know, just brings the team together. You know, this person who sat in my room yesterday is extremely senior, And and team members are pretty wary about him in the room. But when we did the Love Crazy Envy, you should have just seen how they all sort of connected with him so very well. 35 of them had to go to 5 other people to get to know what their Love Crazy Envy was. Most of them are jumping at him because he was the head of the department, so they wanted to know what he loves and what drives him crazy. So that was a great way to bond. You don't bond with your boss, all that much in day-to-day working. This was a great opportunity to break every ice possible and connect with him and use this opportunity to know him a little more better. And he was also enjoying the whole thing. He was opening up and he was sharing what it was. And so I loved the whole thing, and the way they bonded and the way they actually came together as a team was wonderful to see.
That's a great example. Thank you for sharing. Jim, do we have any questions from the chat room yet?
You caught me off guard. Sorry about that. Yeah, actually, Sunil had asked a question earlier. There's a lot of different personality assessments that are out there, and you've been through some of them that are out there. What is it about StrengthsFinder that's different in your mind? What do you get? What does it give you? Those kinds of things. What makes that difference when you stack them up against some of the other ones?
See, for me, what I loved about Strengths is the absolute uniqueness of a person. For example, if you do an MBTI, you would be put in a box with somebody else. For example, I'm not saying that MBTI is bad. MBTI is also fantastic. I use MBTI quite differently. In fact, I actually do MBTI for couples in our organization. So I bring couples on a Saturday, and I get them to understand what their types are. And invariably, God has a sense of humor of bringing two opposites together, and it's revealed in that program. So they love it. But Strengths goes a little more deeper. It goes deeper than the type. It goes into the trait, and then it tells you how unique you are. For example, one of the statistics that we actually talk is that if I have a top 5 and you have a top 5, but not in the same order, you are 275,000 person on God's earth. And if I have the same top 5 and you have the same top 5 in the same order, you could be the 33rd billionth person on God's earth. Now, this takes people by surprise. I mean, they say you can't be that unique, right? So how can you be so unique and yet be so distinctive is what I like about Strengths. So while MBTI will put you in one of the 16 types, which is also good, this goes even more further deeper down into the trait of a particular personality. So that's what I love about Strengths.
Pooja, do you want to add anything to that as well?
No, absolutely. I mean, the trait and the type, what John said is absolutely correct when it comes to the StrengthsFinder. Instead of telling you how similar you are to somebody else, it tells you actually how unique you are from somebody else. So the chances, that's the reason why we don't, use the tool for hiring, because like you said, that the probability of finding another person with the same top 5 in the same order is 1 in 33 million, which is basically saying that we can't find another you. And that's not what we want. We want to be able to find somebody who is equally aware and aware of their own talents and is capable of sort of using them rather than cloning someone. So we don't believe in the idea of cloning, really.
That's right. That's right.
John, I often talk about strengths in the context of conflict too. When you have team conflict, have you had an opportunity to coach anyone with strengths where maybe there was conflict between the two team members, and you were able to kind of resolve that? Because oftentimes we find two dominant strengths banging heads together, right? Or you have an activator and a deliberative, and they don't know that yet. And when you shine light on that, have you had an opportunity like that you could maybe share with us?
Well, I didn't have it at a team level. When I sold Strengths to one of our stakeholders in Reliance, he had a problem. He had 2 teams working under him, and both were not talking to one another. So he had a team of 10 and another team of 12, and they were not looking eye to eye. And he was the boss of both of them. So he was having difficulty getting these 2 teams working together for an output. So I said, hey, here is a fantastic tool. Let me come and share with you what Strengths can do. So I went and sold Strengths to them, got them on the program, and I had these 22 people talking to one another, breaking ice, and resolving every issue that they had. Because at the program they said, these are my problems. The other side guys said, these are my problems. At the end of it, they say, I understand why you actually behave the way you do. So they walked out of the place saying, now I understand you a little more better. So I didn't have it at a team level. I had it more at at an organization level, and it was fantastic to use strengths for them to discover how unique they are and the reason why they were having conflicts in the team.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned, in couples, married couples, the opposites attract, and we see this all the time in strengths too, oftentimes, where they have opposite strengths as well. And actually, StrengthsFinder is a great marriage counseling tool as well, right? When you can, because it's just a team, right? That's all that really is, and it's just a team. And so, great opportunities to do that as well. Sunil out in chat was asking, what's the best way to get? He has some questions for you that he wants to ask you maybe offline. What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Best way to get in touch with me?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not a famous figure, so I really don't know how to answer to that question. But
well, now you are.
My profile is on the Gallup profile, so I don't know whether Sunil has got a link to that. But the easiest way for him to get in touch with me would be to write to my email ID at Reliance, which is very simple. It's john.k.john@ril.com.
All right, perfect. And that profile, the coaches directory is what we call that. In case anybody's listening to the recorded version of this, that's available at the Gallup Strengths Center. So go to Gallup-Strengthscenter.com, scroll down a little bit, and you'll see the coaches directory. You can select on that and then search for you. And since you're John K. John, just put John in there in the search. It will find you. We looked that up today, both first and last. And so great way to get in touch with that way. Pooja, what's the best way for folks in India if they want to get a hold of one of our offices there in India? What's the best way for them to do that?
All the numbers are on the Gallup website, Jim, so they can get in touch with any of the offices either in Delhi, Bangalore, or Bombay, and reach out to any of us because those are fairly accessible and we're all available anytime.
That's perfect. We've had a lot of folks. We had a lot of new folks. John, you did a great job of bringing some folks here. We've had a lot of new folks tonight, and Sunil was just asking those questions. It's been a while since we had somebody, how do I get connected? And so that's great to see them very interested in that. Pooja, kind of as we bring this in for a landing, why don't you wrap this up for us? Any final questions, that kind of stuff?
Well, no further questions really, unless John, do you want to add any final, sort of tips and techniques that you sort of learned when you started deploying the strengths-based development after you got back? Anything that you'd like to share with people that might help them on this journey?
See, I'm still learning, so I had a great opportunity to try this out at Reliance. You know, one thing about Reliance is they will not stop you from doing something good. That's a great advantage of Reliance. You know, otherwise in some companies, you know, you may have to take 10 permissions before you try a program. Right here, I had the luxury of going and speaking to stakeholders and telling them what the offering can be. And it's been a journey for me. So I'm still learning. So every program I try and refine it a little bit from the previous one. I'll try and see what I can do a little more to reinforce a point that I'm actually trying. So I'm actually trying it every time. Every time I'm trying something new. And that's the way I love to. Maybe my ideation team is kicking in there, but you know, I try to do something different from the last time that I tried. But for now, I'm just enjoying the journey. I'm just enjoying the way it's going. I'd like to see how to take it further, especially if I have to do this for senior stakeholders in the room. For example, if everybody, our senior leaders in Reliance, was sitting in the room, will I do the same offering or should I do a different offering? Should I do an extra tool? For example, one of the tools that we have, which is very powerful, is Johari window. I haven't really used it as much, and maybe I can do a Johari window for senior level leaders for them to understand what are their blind spots, what are their open areas, what is the hidden area, and what's the mysterious area, for them to sort of, you know, take it another level. So maybe I'll tweak it a little bit more for them, and that, I guess, is the journey. So I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now, and maybe depending on the profile of people in the room, I might just tweak it a little bit here and there.
I'm glad you bring this up because, at the very basic, everybody understands the strengths philosophy. But when it comes to the journey, which is actually deployment, there are so many systems, tools, techniques that Gallup has. And I have to admit that, you know, of all the people that have got certified so far, each time I speak to all of you, I learn a few tools and techniques that you have sort of ideated and innovated that helps in deploying that philosophy in context of the culture that you guys are in. So, for example, you're talking about leaders and managers. We've had people talk about education. We've had people talk about hospitals and physicians and children and being marriage for the married couples, etc. So depending on which situation you guys are, there are so many systems that are available for you to be able to deploy this, and that is the art of the whole thing. That how do you translate it from a philosophy to an actual practice for people? So I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nope, good point indeed, John. Thank you for taking time today. It's always great. And Pooja, I'm the same. I've done a lot of these, maybe 50 or 60 called to coaches, and I feel like I learn every time we do this. I've been around the strengths culture for 10 years. I was with an organization that adopted strengths early, even before I came to Gallup, and so it's, for me, I'm still learning on the journey. A decade later, I still continue to learn these things and learn some great stuff from you guys, and it's just a great opportunity to learn. If you want to listen, we've got lots, I just mentioned, we've got lots of these available for you in video and audio format. And maybe what you can do is go out and subscribe to them through an RSS feed, download that to your Android or iPhone in some way, and then listen to those. They're 45 minutes. You can maybe listen to one a day if you can do that, or one every other day and get caught up on the series. We have 10 that focus on India, and so you can go out and get those. But many of them, this is a global movement, and many of them will apply to you whether we recorded them in Australia, Singapore, India, or here in the United States. And so we'd encourage you to go over there. If you get signed up for those, it's just an easy way on your phone to listen to those. If you can't do that, you can listen to them on the web or watch them all on YouTube. We have them available for you. Again, if you have any questions on how to get this done, send me an email, coaching@gallup.com. I'd love to be able to help you to do that as well. We remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have available at the Gallup Strengths Center, just GallupStrengthsCenter.com. And send us your questions or comments. Again, that email, coaching@gallup.com. As I mentioned before, you can catch the recorded audio and video. It's available on our coaches blog. That's coaching. You don't have to be a coach to go to the coaches blog, coaching.gallup.com. We have meetup events going on all around the world. There's one there. There's one in Singapore. We don't have an India one yet. We still get working on doing meetups in India. And so if you'd like to help get one started or do a meetup event like that, our meetups page is on the coaching blog as well. If you do have an iPhone or an Android phone, you can download, and you've taken it, or you can even take the assessment on your phone now. But if you have taken it, we have free apps available for you. Just go to the store, search StrengthsFinder. You can add that app and then log in with the email address you took the assessment with, and your top 5 will be right there on your phone. I always say take a screenshot of it, make it your lock screen. Then you never have to forget what your top 5 are. We'd love you to do that as well, and we make those available for you for free. We want to thank everyone for joining us today. If you enjoyed this, found great resources out of it, share it with somebody, and we'd like you to be able to do that, and we look forward to the next Call to Coach. And with that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.